This video is designed to support language educators in their profession and daily challenges. Challenges that are already demanding due to countless factors. In a time when many videos criticize teachers or only push advice on what to do, what to buy, or which certificates to pursue as if they were game changers, this video takes a different approach. Our goal is simple: to offer a moment of reassurance and encouragement, helping us feel just a little better about the work we do, so we can ultimately enhance our work-life balance in an increasingly competitive ESL world. This video is for language teachers of all levels who may be grappling with imposter syndrome. You might catch yourself thinking, how do I overcome it? How do I quiet that nagging doubt when I don't always sound or look professional enough? But let's take a step back. What does professional really mean? Who decides how you seem? You, your students, or the impossible standard of your ideal self? And more importantly, who defines you as an educator? Are you supposed to be flawless like Professor Pierre Carpetz in French in Action? Are you supposed to be flawless like Professor Pierre Carpetz in French in Action, whose scripted, polished lectures leave no room for mistakes? He might have even said, though I couldn't find it in the script, that he's a professor and professors don't make mistakes because that's professional. But is that what teaching truly is? Mistakes, we all make them. Even native speakers stumble. Language isn't perfect, and neither are we. As a tutor, your role is to create a personalized learning experience. But here's something worth remembering. Students naturally overlook or forget nearly 80% of what you say, including small mispronunciation slips, inconsistencies, or even the occasional awkward phrasing. So don't let it weigh you down. If needed, correct yourself and keep going. Your goal is to make a small but meaningful impact on improving language skills worldwide. Have you ever noticed how many people around the world don't speak English? I travel frequently, and no matter where I go, whether it's Latin America, Eastern Europe, or Western Europe, very few people speak any English for various reasons, including even those in the service industry. And yet, as teachers, we're expected to teach complex concepts like indirect questions. The phrase, could you please let me know whether... The phrase, could you please let me... The phrase, could you please tell me where the nearest bus station is, can sound confusing and unnatural for non-native speakers. Interestingly, even those who have lived in English-speaking countries sometimes encounter native speakers who struggle to express themselves clearly. The challenge with English becomes even more apparent when you step outside English-speaking countries, traveling to major tourist destinations, using banking services, eating in restaurants, or navigating airports and international bus terminals. At some point, you might start to wonder, in the second quarter of the 21st century, why does so little of the world speak English? And when you need someone who can communicate effectively in English, they are often nowhere to be found. So who's to blame? Are we as English teachers at fault? Is it the curricula, or perhaps it's the nationalistic attitudes in many countries where English isn't seen as essential and the expectation that foreigners should adapt and speak the local language instead? You've probably heard or even taught the distinction between efficacy, effectiveness, and efficiency. But let us be honest, these are somewhat artificial concepts. The issue is that many specialists are deeply affected by imposter syndrome because they feel pressured to constantly be exceptionally efficient, doing things the right way. However, what truly matters is demonstrating effectiveness, doing the right things. That's more than just enough. Students won't necessarily recognize or appreciate efficiency. Plus, it is impossible to be efficient 100% of the time. Even AI, which is often touted as flawless, still glitches and provides wrong or irrelevant responses. Yet, despite the growing influence of AI in the ESL industry, with the looming possibility of tutors becoming redundant, the fact that you continue to stay in the field and offer your human-centered services is nothing short of impressive. The fact that you've been working, showing up, and getting things done, even if not always perfectly, is already impressive. Whether you've been in this industry for months, years, or decades, that alone is an achievement. It's a merit in itself, because even if your teaching hasn't always been perfectly efficient, at the very least, you haven't caused harm. And if a particular student felt otherwise, chances are someone else would have had the same experience. It's not always about the teacher. After all, what is considered right or effective is highly subjective. Success in language learning often depends on individual factors like a student's memory, motivation, and learning habits, rather than any single teaching method. The TEFL-TESOL industry is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise with certifications like CELTA and DELTA that are supposed to set high professional standards. Yet, despite all this, students often have limited opportunities to develop their language skills through sufficient practice and at their own pace, if such opportunities exist at all. And even when students do receive instruction, they tend to forget it quickly. Research highlights a deeper issue. In resource-constrained environments, students often see little connection between learning English and their future careers. Without a clear sense of relevance, motivation to engage with the language remains low, making acquisition even more challenging. Studies conducted among refugee populations reveal that many challenges. Studies conducted among populations reveal that Studies conducted among populations reveal the many challenges faced in acquiring a second language, including economic, personal, social, linguistic, temporal, and psychological barriers. These challenges are particularly evident when we look at the countries with the best English speakers, where the gaps in language acquisition remain stark. The situation becomes even more alarming when you try speaking to people on the streets of these so-called blue countries, asking for directions or seeking assistance in hospitality. In places like Portugal, Argentina, or Croatia, where research indicates moderate English proficiency, the reality is often much worse. Even the most basic and ineffective language training could make a noticeable difference, yet efforts to bridge this gap remain minimal. When we set native speakers aside, cases of high proficiency in English are relatively rare. Any form of English tutoring would be helpful, not just the most efficient. Any tutoring would make a difference. People seek language schools or hire tutors often when their deadline is fast approaching, and they realize they should have started their studies years ago. When they fail their tests, tutors are somehow expected to share the blame. This misplaced responsibility often extends to tutors being held accountable for the fact that students didn't begin their preparation earlier. By this logic, we would be expected to take responsibility for every individual who hasn't yet acquired English. But we know that's not realistic, and it's certainly not fair to blame our colleagues. Even those who continue using decade-old PowerPoint presentations in their lessons, possibly unaware that over 20 years have passed since their creation. Why shouldn't we blame ourselves and our colleagues? Take a look at most textbooks, including those from publishers like Cambridge or Oxford University Press. While the covers may get updated, the content often remains largely unchanged. It's essentially the same material with only a few exceptions, and those tend to be quite expensive. So if textbooks aren't always effective, the responsibility falls on us, teachers, to compensate in the classroom, adding even more to our workload. When tutors use AI to create materials or instructional content, the value of this work is often underestimated simply because it's AI generated. But so what if the materials are AI edited or processed? The teachers still manage to save time and effort by leveraging AI, and that shouldn't diminish the value of the work. At the same time, companies like Berlitz, GoFluent, and VipKid promote competitive salaries that start as low as $7 per hour. At the same time, companies like Berlitz, GoFluent, and VipKid promote competitive salaries that start as low as $7 per hour, yet the upper limit is nowhere near $100. You might wonder, what $100 am I even talking about? One might question whether a teacher is really entitled to earn a significant income by teaching grammar and vocabulary to A1 students. It is a valid concern, especially when you hear about celebrities paying their tutors $1,000 or more per lesson, which means per hour, simply because those teachers were in the right place and at the right time. Well, such instances do happen, they are incredibly rare. The reality is that many language teaching companies boast about assigning teachers to corporate clients from top-tier firms, suggesting that educators should be earning enough to maintain a lifestyle comparable to the professionals they teach. After all, we introduce them to terms like mergers, acquisitions, unicorn startups, golden parachutes, bonuses, and windfall taxes, concepts tied to their financial success. Yet, despite teaching these concepts, we remain classified as disposable blue-collar workers, expected to simply log off after an hour. On one hand, teachers are expected to impart not just language skills, but also corporate culture, business ethics, and industry-specific terminology. Yet, given their wages, how can they be expected to operate at a corporate level while living a vastly different reality? It's like a poor man teaching the wealthy to appreciate Michelin star dining without even having the means to experience all cuisine himself. It's like a poor man teaching the wealthy to appreciate Michelin-starred dining without even having the means to experience all cuisine himself. Many of our colleagues teach the children of affluent parents, or even affluent children themselves, some of whom earn thousands a day through gaming, blogging, or crypto. Ironically, these young individuals conduct business entirely in their native languages and may one day decide purely for amusement to try it in English. Given this, both their and their parents' motivation to invest seriously in language studies is understandably low. So you're expected, especially by companies, to work up to 8 hours a day, often without even a break for the bathroom. They act like they're doing you a favor, giving you loads of students, paying you peanuts, and making you earn an average of $18 per hour, sometimes even less. And for what? No time for anything beyond teaching. On top of that, they want you to complete reports, leaving you no time to be anyone other than an English teacher. It's like Cinderella's situation. If you can pick these lentils out of the ashes, wash the dishes, scrub the terrace, sweep the halls and stairs, clean the chimneys, and don't forget the laundry, only then may you go to the ball. The only difference is that Cinderella actually got quite work hard while doing all of that. She was from the same family as her sisters, and in the end she received a rather quick social boost. Now, what kind of social elevator can an English teacher expect, even if they're doing their job exceptionally well? At the same time, our colleagues and those cliché digital nomad blog articles will tell us that we need to set an example for our students. Travel, explore, discover, win awards, naturally participate in networking opportunities, attend concerts, meet celebrities, go to important conferences, engage with publishing houses, publish our work, post from fun locations, do sport, go hiking, trekking, and so on. But can we actually do all of this when most language companies expect us to work at least 30 hours per week with clients, many of whom, by the way, live pretty comfortable lives while we struggle? And then, on top of that, we develop imposter syndrome just because we, teachers, mispronounce certain words, explain grammar inadequately, or feel we're not fluent enough, experienced enough, knowledgeable, or versatile enough. Imposter syndrome, by definition, is a feeling of self-doubt that leads people to believe they are not as capable as others. This is especially common among underpaid teachers who compare themselves to other teachers in the same situation but who may appear to be performing better. Often the reason for this difference is that these teachers have invested more time in preparation or spent significant amounts of money on courses like CELTA or Delta. Many of these teachers are saving up for years, spending up to 90% of their savings and working up to 18 hours a day preparing lessons. I even had a colleague who paid me to find materials for her B1 level college students because they consumed the resources she purchased so quickly, leaving her worried about being reprimanded or fired for not being good enough. Is it more sensible to focus on completing tasks quickly and cheaply, or to invest more time, money, and efforts even if the rewards don't match the investment? I am not advocating for low-quality service, as the feeling of delivering a good lesson is priceless. However, it's also important not to overestimate its impact. Ultimately, students don't think much about them being taught. It is just one part of their busy lives, and they often have other priorities. Imagine if all ESL teachers only had 1 or 2 classes per day. In that scenario, we might actually get published more frequently, enjoy better sleep, and have the time to explore modern trends in education. Picture applying for grants to attend advanced training at Harvard, with expenses covered for you and your family. Think about receiving full support from a professional union, offering discounts on courseware, dental treatment, concert tickets, flights, meals, and more. For many, especially private online tutors, this seems unthinkable, yet many still struggle with imposter syndrome. That's the reality we face. The reality is the fact that you continue to teach despite being underpaid, unable to travel regularly, and still find the energy to read in the target language or help students on the journey is nothing short of a miracle. Yet, your imposter syndrome tells you that you must be not only efficient but also always at your best, mentally sharp, never forgetting the right words or making basic mistakes, even when tired and burnt out. But why should this be the case? Taxi drivers or shop assistants can forget awkward customers quickly because their interactions are short and lack long-term consequences. Teaching, however, is far more emotionally demanding in the long run. And if you work for a company, they might take the side of the customer in difficult situations. Well, if you are self-employed, your livelihood depends on ratings and reviews. How are we expected to maintain our best performance both in the short and long term and continue tutoring when we have little to no social security, uncertain job stability, and the looming fear that we might be replaced by advanced AI systems like voice custom GPTs powered by humanization algorithms in the near future? Imagine a scenario where, in a few years, teachers will have to prove beyond a shadow of doubt that you are not an AI in a world dominated by advanced artificial intelligence. How would you do it? Every hesitation, every pause, every slip of the tongue would work in your favor. In fact, envision a world where the more sporadic an AI's errors, the more valuable its humanization algorithm becomes. With all the anxiety, both our own and that of our students, who often learn English because they are formally required to, it's difficult to stay focused. Many students also deal with lack of sleep, job insecurity, and constant stress. They might even lose track of what you're saying after receiving another concerning message from the boss or colleagues about poor performance or upcoming changes in the company. They apologize, and you have to start your explanation over again. This anxiety, combined with the decreasing relevance of English lessons in the face of students' overwhelming priorities, can make us question our efficiency or efficacy and abilities. We often encounter clients who expect to move from elementary to advanced levels with minimal engagement outside of class. How are we supposed to remain productive, emotionally positive, cheerful, and upbeat despite being underpaid when this job requires so much more than, for instance, working silently as a carpenter with redwood? A carpenter doesn't need to constantly engage their vocal cords, listen attentively, correct mistakes, speak coherently, or always set a positive example for their students, all while trying to prevent burnout. You ask your students if they at least try to listen to something in their original language or watch content in English, and they probably say no. Many simply don't like the way the language sounds, or they have no motivation. Some are in a situation where they know they may never visit the UK, the USA, or Canada, or they already have other languages they're focused on learning. You start to feel like the odd one out, as if you're imposing a language that doesn't seem to interest them. So where do you find the energy to stay enthusiastic about teaching a language that none of your students seem to enjoy or appreciate? You might find some great jokes in English to share, but they won't care because to them it's just not funny in a foreign language. Or just the opposite, they might be enjoying content shared by other teachers and you're left wondering how they can connect with those primitive platitudes. The fear of missing out effect kicks in, making you watch your colleagues post content from their comfortable, relaxed environments, looking fresh and at ease. Seeing their efforts can make you feel like you're definitely doing something wrong, as if you're not living up to the same standard of productivity or relaxation. The truth is, these ESL posters often trigger imposter syndrome. Yet it's the posters themselves that are the real imposters. They present an idealized version of success that fails to capture the full reality of the job. So what am I trying to say? No matter the challenges, you're proving your resilience and dedication as an ESL teacher. ESL teacher, it's a miracle you're still in the field. Your perseverance in a demanding field is nothing short of remarkable. No matter what you do, what you don't do, or how you do it, you should not let imposter syndrome take over. Embrace your journey and remember that your value is undeniable regardless of self-doubt. It's truly remarkable that you are still preparing lessons for your students. Your dedication and commitment to thoughtful lesson planning are admirable. If not, it's equally impressive how you can seamlessly improvise and lead your classes when needed. Your ability to adapt and improvise shows your expertise and confidence as an educator. Are you using answer keys alongside your lessons, even at the pre-intermediate level? That's impressive. It shows you genuinely care about ensuring your student gets their answers right. You're not relying on a teacher's book. Even more impressive, you've memorized the answers, which is great for your student. You don't memorize the answers because you avoid using the same textbooks repeatedly to prevent burnout, ensuring it doesn't affect you or your student. Impressive! It shows you genuinely care about the materials you use in your lessons. You know the answers by heart, but then you check the teacher's book and realize you were wrong about some. Impressive. It shows you truly care about accuracy, and moving forward, you'll be even more focused on ensuring you correct things correctly. You've been using the same textbooks for over 3 decades because they actually work? Impressive! You've helped multiple generations of learners succeed by being an ambassador for this material. You might even deserve an epitaph made up of its most iconic catchphrases. You prefer not to use textbooks? Impressive. That's a bold choice that sets you apart, giving you a significant competitive edge. By moving away from textbooks, you're embracing creativity and fostering a more dynamic learning environment. You're actually using only textbooks, varying students' book, workbook, every module. Impressive. If they designed it this way, then are they really such idiots in Pearson, Cambridge, and Oxford University Press if they created it this way? You occasionally look up a word in the dictionary when your student asks. Impressive. You truly care about using the correct terms, ensuring your student remembers the words accurately. You sometimes don't bother looking up words even if you're not completely sure, suspecting there might be better translations into English. Impressive. You have a solid vocabulary. You sometimes don't bother looking up words even if you're not completely sure, suspecting there might be better translations into English. Impressive. You have a solid vocabulary range and are resourceful enough to manage on your own. You feel uncertain about your level, worried you don't even know enough words or may not always understand what you hear, yet you are not actively learning new vocabulary. Impressive. You are still open to eventually exploring new untapped knowledge when the time comes. You still rely on subtitles when watching a film in the language you teach? Impressive. You value accurate translation and want to fully engage with the film in that language. You skip over passages you don't understand while watching a film in the language you teach? Impressive. You can continue with minimal context and still stay engaged. You watch other teachers' videos to explore their methods? Impressive. You watch other teachers' videos to explore their methods? Impressive. You watch other teachers' videos to explore their methods? Impressive. You're open to being flexible and willing to humbly borrow what works for you. This approach reflects a growth mindset and a desire to continuously improve your own teaching practices. You've been using the same tried and true methods for decades, long after others stopped, and you don't need any other videos or advice because you know they'll just frustrate you. Impressive. You've fully committed to these classic techniques, so much so that you could be inscribed. Impressive! You've fully committed to these classic techniques, so much so that they could be inscribed on your tombstone. You've been pushing the student without swamping their language acquisition field, ensuring steady progress. You've been pushing the student without swamping their language acquisition field, ensuring steady progress while covering a wide range of aspects. Impressive. You're mindful of the pace, preventing overload while keeping the momentum. Have you also given them enough time, practice, and examples to fully activate each structure? Outstanding. Your stonemasonry. Impressive. Your stonemasonry ESL technique is carving out lasting language skills. If you are still unsure about the spelling of certain words, like whether it's imposter or imposter, that's quite impressive. It shows you are considering both the word's etymology and its modern usage, reflecting a more thoughtful, reflective approach to language. In many cases, such as with impostor and imposter, both spellings are technically correct, though one may be used less frequently. Just as lawyers defend your interests, you can approach language with a similar strategic mindset, drawing on linguistic expertise to challenge conventional rules. By framing what might seem like a mistake as a language experiment, a clever pun, meme, post-irony, or even a malapropism, you can turn the situation to your advantage, encouraging students to explore language while still being aware of the more commonly accepted forms. You adapt, but don't adopt. Impressive. You adjust methods to fit your students' needs without blindly following trends, showcasing thoughtful flexibility and trust in proven techniques. This approach allows you to tailor your teaching to what works best for your learners while maintaining a solid foundation in effective practices. This approach allows you to tailor your teaching to what works best for your learners, while maintaining a solid foundation in effective practices. You adopt, but don't adapt. Impressive. By fully embracing new methods without modification, you're showing confidence and a willingness to evolve as a teacher. This approach reflects an openness to change while staying true to your teaching principles. Have too much teacher talk time and too little student talk time. Impressive. By taking the lead in speaking, you are setting an example of fluent, uninterrupted speech, which helps students learn through your clarity and fluency. This approach allows them to absorb language patterns and pronunciation while still participating in the learning process. They have too much student talk time and you have too little teacher talk time. Impressive! Allowing students to take charge of the conversation gives them active practice while giving your vocal cords a break. This shift in balance encourages students' autonomy and increases their involvement. This shift in balance encourages student autonomy and increases their involvement in the learning process. You use too much students L1 in your lessons. Impressive. By incorporating their native language, you are fostering a comfortable and stress-free learning environment. This approach helps students feel more at ease, encouraging them to engage and learn without the pressure of constant immersion. You don't use L1 at all. Impressive. By embracing full immersion, you're creating a more engaging and dynamic learning environment. With tools like AI-generated transcripts and captions, you're enhancing comprehension and providing support without relying on L1, making the learning experience more immersive. You still feel odd about terms like L1 or L2. Impressive. Recognizing that complex terminology can be confusing, Recognizing that complex terminology can be confusing and Recognizing that complex terminology that can be confusing helps you keep language simple and clear for both yourself and your students. This approach fosters better understanding and ensures more accessible communication in the classroom. You still feel odd about terms like L1 or L2? Impressive. Recognizing that complex terminology can be confusing helps you keep language simple and clear for both yourself and your students. This approach fosters better understanding and ensures more accessible communication in the classroom. You actually know at least a quarter of the TKT textbook glossary? Impressive. Your familiarity with key terms reflects a strong foundation in teaching theory, highlighting your preparation. This knowledge not only boosts your scientific approach, but also enhances your credibility as an informed and capable educator. Have recurring clients. Impressive. Their decision to continue learning with you, whether from habit or genuine preference, speaks volumes about your impact. It shows you've built a lasting connection and trust, ensuring students value your teaching and approach enough to return. A few clients decided not to continue. Impressive. Setting clear expectations shows that you value your time and are committed to working with dedicated students. This ensures that only those who are truly invested in their learning journey remain, allowing you to focus on those who align with your teaching style and goals. You lost your temper? Impressive! Showing emotion proves you're human and deeply invested in the situation. It highlights your passion and commitment, demonstrating that you genuinely care about your students and the teaching process, unlike a detached or robotic response. You didn't lose your temper. Impressive. Maintaining composure shows emotional intelligence and the ability to stay calm under pressure, which is crucial in teaching. Your endless patience not only creates a supportive environment but also earns students' respect and trust, making them feel safe to learn and grow. Knowledgeable but superficial? Impressive. A broad range of knowledge can be highly valuable, providing students with a wide perspective and their ability to connect ideas across different topics. Your erudition, even if not deeply specialized, can spark curiosity and help students see the bigger picture, enhancing their language experience. Lacking vast knowledge? Impressive. Sometimes not knowing everything allows you to be more detail-oriented, focusing on the most important aspects and sparing students from a know-it-all attitude. This can create a more engaging and approachable learning environment where students feel more comfortable asking questions and exploring. You digress. Impressive. Language is more than just rigid lessons. It's about fostering creativity and connection, and sometimes digressions lead to the most meaningful learning moments. Always structured. Impressive. Consistency is a skill in itself. It shows discipline, reliability, and the ability to create an environment where students can thrive and feel secure in the learning journey. If you don't have formal education, that's actually a plus. It means you have experience in a different field, which is undoubtedly impressive. And if, hypothetically, you haven't studied or worked at all, even better, less risk of burnout, especially in people-oriented jobs. Even better, less risk of burnout, especially in people-oriented jobs. You can always get a couple of free, massive online course-based TEFL certifications, cover their supplementary materials, and be fully prepared. You have a degree. That's excellent. In fact, many of the ESL teachers I know don't have a formal academic background in education. They come from diverse fields like geology, music production, fitness training, and customer support. Having a degree certainly helps you stand out, but as we've discussed, neither a degree nor experience alone are enough to break free from the vicious circle of being underpaid in this industry. It is also normal that despite having a degree and experience, imposter syndrome can still creep in. It's a common challenge many teachers face. Teach in your own way. Don't let others dictate your methods. Even dentists working with the same material, dentine, each have their own radically different approaches. Yet in language teaching, we're expected to adhere only to so-called proven methods, deemed effective by someone else. Ignore that. Do what works for you. Do what works for you. Why is it that in most fields talent and individuality are nurtured, while in ESL teacher training the goal seems to be turning educators into lifeless script followers? Emotionless, sterile, endlessly positive, always encouraging. Why must teachers be stripped of their personality in the name of safe instruction? Imposter syndrome is what the industry expects us to embody. It pushes us to act as though we are earning $1,000 a day, when in reality, to make a decent living, we often need another source of income outside of teaching. The truth is, to avoid both imposter syndrome and burnout, many of us should be doing anything but teaching. In fact, the best educators I've encountered had no formal pedagogical training at all. They weren't teachers in the traditional sense. They didn't concern themselves with teaching methods, student engagement, or effectiveness, yet they earned respect and attention because they came from fields where they weren't bound by the constant grind of teaching every day for a modest paycheck. Imposter syndrome often arises from the feeling that we are occupying someone else's place, someone more professional. But would that idealized, super professional person with perfect Britannica level English work for the salary you're earning? And if they did, would that be fair to them? How would they feel about squandering their time and talent in such a situation? They say that to truly learn something, you must teach it. So even if you think you are not providing the highest quality service, remember, you're still learning from it. Focus on yourself, not just what others think. If people assume your level hasn't changed, that you are stagnant and not evolving, it's a misconception. In reality, it's you, the teacher, who is evolving and deepening your knowledge, while many students let their skills slip because they often don't see financial return from using the language outside the classroom. They say that to truly learn something, you must teach it. So even if you think you are not providing the highest quality service, remember, you're still learning from it. Focus on yourself, not just what others think. If people assume your level hasn't changed, that you're stagnant and not evolving, it's a misconception. In reality, it's you, the teacher, who is evolving and deepening your knowledge, while many students let their skills slip because they often don't see a financial return from using the language outside the classroom. So even if the pay is not substantial, you're still earning by using your language skills and passing them on to others. And that is impressive. As we wrap up our discussion on overcoming imposter syndrome, it's important to take a step back and recognize the practices you're already implementing. Consistently meeting the following key practices not only demonstrates your competence, but also makes it clear why imposter syndrome has no place in your journey as an educator. You show up on time, which reflects your dedication and professionalism. You ensure your students can hear you clearly, and when appropriate, you engage them with You ensure your students can hear you clearly, and when appropriate, you engage with them visually, creating a connection that enhances their language learning experience. You smile during lessons, fostering a positive and welcoming atmosphere that encourages student engagement. You make note of the trickiest words your students struggle with, showing your attention to detail and commitment to their progress. Your empathy shines through as your knowledge. Your empathy shines through as your empathy shines through as you acknowledge their personal and academic challenges, creating a supportive learning environment. You celebrate their success, whether it's a well-phrased sentence or a recall of previously learned vocabulary, reinforcing their growth. You minimize distractions, providing a focused environment that maximizes their learning potential. You check their homework and provide constructive feedback, ensuring they stay on track and feel supported. Looking at these practices, it is clear you are already doing what is needed to be an effective educator. There is no reason for imposter syndrome to cloud your confidence. The next question is how to boost your income, work less, travel more, save more, and get the rest you truly need. And with that, we arrive at the final segment of the video. Surely, this video wouldn't be complete without sharing something genuinely useful to you. Over the past 2 years, I've been developing a Udemy course designed to help teachers maximize top-free ESL resources, ultimately enabling them to earn more, gain international recognition, and become easily discoverable, not just as teachers, but as EdTech experts. Beyond free tools, the course also introduces lesser-known yet valuable credentials to strengthen your portfolio, enhance your CV, and boost your visibility. Why does visibility matter? Because when you position yourself not just an ESL teacher, but also as an author or the founder of a concept, a project, or a community, you become much more than just an educator. You build a professional identity that extends beyond teaching. Suddenly, the limitations of traditional teaching, any failures or bad experiences become far less significant, even irrelevant. Whether you launch a project formally or informally, consistently or sporadically, it doesn't matter. The possibilities are endless. Self-publishing, podcasting, running a website, creating a LinkedIn community, or offering paid AI-generated worksheets on platforms like Scribd or SlideShare. The key is to establish yourself as an education expert, author, and emerging edtech innovator so that just as senior IT specialists attract opportunities, companies begin reaching out to you. I've condensed everything into this single course, ensuring that all featured resources, tools, and massive open online courses are completely free. with direct links provided in the course. You'll also find valuable strategies for attracting higher-paying clients, allowing you to work fewer hours while increasing your income. While this may not lead to $1,000 a day, you could realistically earn $100 plus daily with just a couple of hours work, plus passive income opportunities in the ESL industry. The link is below.